Cowboys are doing a lot of stuff like, let's say robbing trains or...
No, cowboys herd cows.
Yes, but I'm thinking like also...
When we were young, when I first met him, he was telling me the stories of when occasionally they caught some of those SS captains and did some really unspeakable,
really puts. And if you whip out the Seiko Samurai, there's zero originality. Which he's not smiling, so I think he might have brought the Seiko.
Welcome to, can you believe, episode 2 of Touch My Clock. So, I guess it's time for wrist check. Max.
It is. Alright, so for today, I thought I would bring a piece that I actually got serviced not too long ago. So this is a Hoya watch. So this is it predates Tag, which I think is a nice to Tag Hoya. Having said that, I think they're doing some really excellent things at the moment. I really love the direction they're taking.
Stepping their game.
But they're still not there totally yet, and I think this piece is awesome. The fact that you get all of these hour changes on the bracelet itself. So this watch actually is a quartz, but whenever you press this button right here, you basically get a additional GMT function, which I think is so cool. I'd rather get a GMT function than a date function. I don't think it's that useful. I never use it, but I love this watch. But I spent pretty much as much money servicing this watch than buying it. I bought it for cheap, but I still had to spend a lot of money. It just came from Japan this year.
Some of the grey hair here is waiting for Max whilst he's having his watch serviced.
Yeah. It took a couple of months to get it. But now it's here, it's with me, and I'm really happy about it.
Bravo, cool watch.
What do you have on?
Well, I'm going full Bond today, the typical James Bond watch, the Omega Seamaster. It's wonderful, down to 300 meters, sapphire crystal. This is one of those classic watches that just comes into a collection, and it's relatively simple, but it's so easy to see. Just a really, really nice watch. And if you saw in episode 1, I only really talked about English watches. I'm going to make a claim here, so of course you're going to be. This is a really difficult one to stretch into.
British.
Well, you've got James Bond being British, but also it's a coaxial movement, and the coaxial movement was actually designed and invented by George Daniels, an English guy. So I'm claiming the British crown for this one as well. But just a really, really simple classic, and I just love that rubber strap. I'm always sort of always in action mode, always either in the water or around, and I just love the flexibility and the real comfort of putting this on the wrist.
You can't call me a this podcast. Elliot, you're a this guy.
Okay, yeah, we're going to have to beep that.
So many beeps. Elliot, what are you wearing
Okay,
today?
I'm wearing something quite unique again. I'm quite a scavenger. I like basically getting stuff that you've never seen before and even surprise them with what I buy. So today I'm wearing a Lucerne Sport, which is concentric circle on concentric circle. It's pretty crazy. I mean, these watches were made for racing mostly. It's basically a timer watch. It's not really used as you just tell the time itself. You would just set it at 12, start the time basically, and then you can just basically time for your races. Got a nice little car on the back. I've got this, and I started getting addicted to it now. So I bought a black variant, which gave to my brother, and I just got a blue one, and now I'm addicted. I want all of them. So if any of you have it, please send me your information.
Super.
But
it looks like a UFO is about to take off.
It's kind of like a UFO watch. Yeah. It's like the big disc is flopping out. It's really, really nice. It's basically new old stock how I got it. I mean, look at it. It's basically intact. It's pretty incredible.
There is a thing I think that's interesting with the way that you've been collecting, because you are such a scavenger and you spend so much time trying to find the perfect piece that you go into like areas that I don't think anyone else goes to. I don't think anyone would look at this watch and say, this is a watch I'd want to buy. But once you really study it and you spend the time and you understand the rarity of these, and I was wearing actually your Global Sport, which is kind of Lucerne Global Sport. It's kind of the same thing,
the same brand,
and it just non-stop people were just interested in it because it's such a unique kind of design. We're obsessed, I think, with a certain era of vintage watches, but there's a complete other era that people haven't touched yet, I think, in the watch industry, and I think that could genuinely be the funky kind of the side that should reemerge.
So there you go. That's
Very
what
cool.
I'm wearing today.
There you go. So, guys, today on this episode, we've got a fun challenge. As we were trying to find ideas for the podcast, we thought, why don't we start with something that's a little bit weird? And so, what's our idea?
I think we're going to match watches to a number of professions that may not really be existing so much today. So I think we're going to go with pirate,
Pirate is one of them.
cowboy,
Number 2.
and samurai.
Absolutely.
Samurai.
Yeah. So to reiterate, what kind of watches would they wear? Now, of course, cowboys they had pocket watches at the time, but if you were to give them a modern watch, right, a watch that you see in production nowadays, what would they wear? And we're going to do this a little bit like a competition. I think you guys can comment better on which one you prefer. But however, between us, we'll try to figure out, and when I say us, I mean me and Elliot. Jason in the back is more background in terms of just, But we'll see how it goes. What do you guys want to start off with?
What profession are we starting with?
Shall we start with the cowboy?
Yeehaw.
Start with cowboy.
Yeehaw, Elliot.
We haven't
So
changed.
cowboy is what I'm thinking. Okay, we all know they're wearing pocket watches at the time, and I thought this is a bit wild, but anyway, you need something a bit functional, so with a complication that you would need, okay, and something sleek, maybe light, because you're getting your pistol out, you don't want extra weight on your wrist. You don't want some massive AP Black Panther on your wrist, while you're shooting other people. So I thought, honestly, this is what they would wear. So this is a Tissot, the telemeter dial chronograph, which I think is beautiful. It's leather bracelet. It all looks nice. It's very classic, and I think this is something they would wear as well. They love gold. Let's say that. Why not? Gold rush, anyway. So, cowboys are doing a lot of stuff like, let's say robbing trains or...
No, cowboys herd cows.
Yes, but I'm thinking like also taking over trains with dynamite and stuff.
The cowboy bandits.
I'm thinking like cowboy bandits. Like I'm not thinking the ones in the oceans nowadays, but the ones taking over trains and stuff.
Pirates.
Yeah, Somalian pirates. But so I thought this is a good piece.
Both confused.
So you get it. So this is you use chronographs, 10-meter dials for distance, time calculations. So I'm thinking mainly for the train part of robbing trains, basically. So you can calculate when they're coming, how fast they're going, and then you can tell your mates when they're coming, etc. So I think this is really nice.
Isn't a telemeter for the speed of...
You can do both.
Sound.
It does distance times calculation, and also if someone shoots you with a cannon, I guess you can also calculate where it's coming from. I'm not sure you would really need it.
I could see the cannon part, but again, I see this more as a pirate watch, if I'm honest, because cannons are slightly more...
Yeah, but a pirate, this has like no water resistance. So, but anyway, but this is a bit random, but I thought this could be quite cool, honestly. It looks nice. It seems time period appropriate-ish. And yeah,
It's got that wonderful kind of vintage look.
Right, you've got to love this watch. It's just gorgeous. I want one of them, so please follow by me.
How much would it cost? With
This is about £1,500, I believe.
15.
But that's the new version. You can get the vintage version, which is much nicer, to be honest, but hard to get. So that's my pick for. That's my pick.
It looks
for
quite. It's on the smaller side, no? It's like a 38.
Looks probably around 38, 39 millimeters, something like that.
Maybe 40, maybe 41,
Maybe 42, 43,
44.
maybe 45.
We do our research on this podcast before we come in.
Sure.
And have you got an alternative?
So I have an absolute priceless cowboy watch. Now look at this. Let's look at this watch here. So this is actually Pepe Max, our French grandfather's watch. Now, where the connection is to cowboy? Well, he had a place that was known as the ranch. And people used to go to the ranch. He had a disused tank and lots of buildings. And he kept a number of animals and rode around the countryside. So he was the absolute equidistant, equivocable French cowboy. And this is his watch, which is a Refra, and of course, out of the kind of 1970s, I put the a wonderful sort of red, white, blue blanc rouge strap on this. And I think it just shows that I know that wonderful scene in Pulp Fiction when he turns around and said, the way your daddy saw this.
Oh yeah.
This watch is for your birthright, and I've kept it, and so it's
I thought
really.
we were going to wait at least
For some random
few
sexual.
episodes.
But
reference,
that clip was a classic moment, I think, in horology. And hats off to them. And I think therefore, where this watch isn't particularly expensive, its prices to me, it's truly wonderful. That old fellow was in the Resistance, and I remember that when we were young, when I first met him, he was telling me the stories of when occasionally they caught some of those SS captains and did some really unspeakable,
we've gone there.
It's a really good episode, guys. We loved.
Okay,
we
Max,
loved,
Max, what cowboy watch did you pick?
Yeah, I mean, on that, I'm not totally sure where the cowboy goes into this one.
I think he just sees him as a cowboy.
The
sees him as
he
well.
was the French cowboy,
But I
and he would
wouldn't
have a
have a French
shotgun
cowboy.
sitting at every window.
Okay.
Okay, that'll do. Yeah.
And
We don't need to go.
And if there's any rabbits on the outside,
sorry, yeah, okay.
bang, off they went.
Okay.
All right.
This is a watch that actually was released just as we're filming. This was released, I think, yesterday or the day before. Now,
Which one?
right now, you're seeing a selection of Hamiltons, right? Now, Hamilton is, of course, from the US.
Yeah.
They started in Pennsylvania. The story of Hamilton is, I believe it was 1942. They were the main supplier of watches for the US Army, and they stopped
right.
selling to civilians. And so their designs are iconic, and there's no question about it. They've cemented their rule in the watch world, and even if they make their movements in Switzerland, to which this maybe is another podcast, but I really want to talk about brands from certain countries producing their own movements and their own. But anyways, that's a tangent. But I really wanted to look into them, and how lucky was I that this week this came out. Now, this is. So I get it correctly because I'm really bad with names. This is the Khaki Field Expedition. There you go. So it's a 37mm watch, right? It's got the movement that runs for 80 hours. So if you buy a Hamilton, most of them will have an 80-hour movement. And I'm just thinking, if you're actually a cowboy and you're working in the field all day, you want to make sure that it's something that's always working. It's always reliable. When you're herding cattle, you want to know where your north is, your south is, but it's also a very simple watch. It's a cowboy, leather and cows, and obviously in the strap itself. Although I believe it's a sustainable environmental alternative, and I just think I won because I could see a cowboy wearing this watch. It's super legible. The size as well. So the one I picked, the reference I picked, is a 37mm watch, which again, I'm wearing one that's 36 today. You don't need anything bigger. Often, I like smaller pieces a lot more now. And what says yeehaw more than this watch?
Their khaki field watch are absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
An interesting Timex have got a whole collection on terms of their expeditions with compass and very similar, but it just lets itself down with not having a really good mineral or sapphire glass on it. But real classics.
Awesome. And this got released this just this week. It's retailing for about £950, something like this.
Okay.
And again, it's just one of these watches where I think I've always loved the idea of having a Hamilton, but I haven't found the Hamilton I would wear. A lot of the Hamilton khakis I get a little bit bored with or fatigued seeing them online, but I think this is an alternative that I really find. It's just awesome.
Good pick.
Yeah.
Good pick.
Okay, so let's move to.
No, we're voting. I'm voting for. Well, we're not allowed to vote for our own piece.
The audience will vote.
The audience will vote.
Exactly, yeah. Audience vote. Just get down there, like, subscribe, and just say what a bunch of they are. Thank you so much.
We're gonna have to bleep
Move
that
on.
one again.
Okay.
Okay.
Like Hublot sound or something.
But I'm pretty confident I won that round. Let's continue the order. What are we doing next?
I'll take
Samurai.
that.
Samurai. Elliot, what is
First
your
thing,
samurai
if
pick?
anyone puts, and if you whip out the Seiko Samurai, there's zero originality. Which he's not smiling. So I think he might have bought the Seiko. Anyway, we'll see that for
It's
later.
Seiko Samurai King is going to come out any second now.
Yeah, it's in his pocket.
So predictable.
It's in his pocket. Who would have known?
Captain Predictable.
So, okay. So Samurai, it's Japanese.
Yeah.
So, of course, it has to be a Japanese watch. So Seiko's a good alternative. But for me, I went with the Grand Seiko Snowflake.
Yeah.
I think very, I'm not going to say it's basic, but it's very simple. It's just beautiful. And all the different variants they have for the spring drive movements, They have like the cherry blossom, and they have all the seasons and everything. All this, it's all mumbo jumbo marketing anyway. But it looks really, really nice. And I think for a samurai, it's incredibly accurate, especially the spring drive, which is a gorgeous movement. I absolutely love it. I don't have a picture of the case back because I'm not prepared here. But it's great movement, great accuracy, a great brand, great Japanese brand. And it's just perfect. The dimensions are great, and it's a grail.
It's got just sword hands.
The finishes are wonderful. I just love that blue,
exactly.
that heat blued second hand.
Sword hands,
Wonderful power reserve of that sword coming up.
But
you're better at selling this than I am.
Captain Predictable now? Because I think the Seiko Samurai by name is the one you'd think, and maybe I took it, maybe I didn't. But the easy second option is going, well, you know what? I'll go Seiko because it's Japanese. And what's the other easiest one? Well, I'll take, I guess, a Grand Seiko because it's a bit.
But the seasons work. It's just perfect.
Okay, Matt,
it's classy.
Bring it on then. Bring it on.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool watch, but I think it's a bit of a predictable watch.
Okay, come on then.
So let's
Max.
see your Seiko Samurai then.
Okay, so my Seiko Samurai is not here. Because the Seiko, this is like playing chess. You can't just, it's not the first option. I didn't pick the second option. I picked the 27th option. Now, I picked this, and I think none of you have ever heard of this brand.
Yeah.
I'm touching it.
We want to see it.
I'll need the paper.
it's
Have
really
you guys ever heard of Gustafsson and Sogruggen?
Maybe.
Do tell.
So,
It sounds
this
very
is
Japanese.
really cool. I didn't want to pick a watch that was Japanese. I wanted to pick a watch that was the essence of a samurai. And a samurai has an affinity towards its sword, right? Its katana, its blade. And so I really wanted to emphasize on that point, on something that was handcrafted and something that you have and you don't need to change ever again. So here's my choice for the samurai.
Okay, I see why.
Let's talk about swords now.
I can see that's the folded steel of a sword, which is 1,000
Damascus.
times. So yeah, I get that. That's not bad.
And to talk about, let's talk about.
It's made on Etsy or something.
No, and you'll be shocked by the price.
That's what it looks like.
You'll be shocked by the price. Now, just for a little bit of material history or material knowledge. You make steel with iron, right? Now, everyone believed that the Japanese swords had the best iron, but that's completely wrong. They had terrible ore, right? And so the way that they would make the steels, as you said, they would have to fold them, right? Which is why you get these intricate patterns. But they only had to do that because they didn't have the right. Now, Damascus is treated the same way. However, generally, the iron and the ore that we had in Europe back in the day was a lot better. But I just love the idea that if you buy this watch, you don't only get this watch, but it also comes with its accompanying knife.
Now, that's very cute.
The story with this brand that I have a really hard time saying because I'm not Swedish. I believe they're Swedish, they're Scandinavian for sure. Is that it's actually he's a metal worker. One of them was a metal worker and he makes swords and knives, and the other one was a watchmaker. And then they decided, let's try to make some pieces together. Now these are near pièces uniques. This one specifically, there's only 5 that you could buy. There's only 5 acceptable. But I just thought, you know what? You want something that's tough. The movement is a very basic ETA that's been recalibrated so it can last for X amount of hours. So the movement is nothing particular. But just the fact that you get something that has spent so much time and love and craft. And if it's the only watch you're going to get, maybe you can spend $20,000 on it.
$20,000.
So because these are all handmade,
Yeah, fucking Grand Seiko.
it's $20,000, which I
Grand
think is at least the most expensive watch we've talked about yet. It's completely absurd.
We say we're like,
So that's out. That's gone. Far too expensive. So let's go back to the real basics of a samurai warrior. Now, a samurai warrior, in horological terms, he's wearing a lot of armor. He's got his sword. So therefore, you've got to have a watch that's anti-magnetic. You've got to make sure that it's waterproof.
fair enough.
And let's face it, there's going to be a lot of fighting
Why does
going
it have to
on.
be waterproof? He
Samurai jumps in the water, and there's plenty of streams and
Say
water.
when he goes in his
It also has to be really tough. I mean, you've got to have a watch that's got to be capable of a lot of shock. Yeah, because you're going to be doing around a lot of it. So you've got to have those three as an absolute basic.
pick.
Equally, the samurais are so exact. Every one of their katas and movements is so precise. You need a watch that's absolutely superbly accurate, and you've got to have a little bit of style, a little bit of slishness. You remember the uniqueness. Remember the
So
uniqueness.
you pick a Patek Philippe Calatrava.
Remember the uniqueness of all of it. So, which watch can capture all of those wonderful elements? Well, it is indeed, of course, the very, very famous G-Shock, which is hugely affordable.
What?
And here we have the
probably show it.
Bamford G-Shock, and this is absolutely what your modern samurai
did you get
would
this?
be wearing today.
Right.
This is the one. Look at that. Opens up
actually
like
pretty.
a lotus flower. You've got that. All the rest of the things that I was talking about. The toughest watch that you can ever have. And you've got that beautiful touch, a beautiful touch of colour on the inside, but just for yourself. A little bit like a Paul Smith shirt. This is just what your modern. This is what your modern day samurai will be wearing. Now, the other interesting element on these is you can buy G-Shocks from about 150 pounds starting place on a G-Shock. This one's slightly chic, but still very, very, very affordable. Or you can go all the way up to £5,000 and get a Frogman a G-Shock. But ultimately, within a very, very affordable range, you've got a really, really tough, ultra amazing watch.
So why did you pick Bamford then?
Oh, Elliot,
Where's the
Bamford because
why
Bamford
Bamford
because I wanted to bring in a little bit of that quintessential Britishness.
Because you wanted a Bamford.
So their little design. So there you go. So I've got a little bit of the British piece in there, and of course, remember for your samurai, you're going to have a little flash of colour, so you want something a little slightly more stylish.
That's your second Bamford.
Yeah.
It is indeed. This is a very, very addictive, very addictive hobby.
And I think we can give a shout out to George Bamford. I think About Effing Time has rubbed off enough, but I'll be honest.
They're pretty amazing.
I think he won. Not even just because he bought a watch for the sole purpose
For the sake of the
beating us,
episode, yeah.
but
It's slam dunk yet again. Another episode of Touch My Clock. Remember, subscribe, like, and keep coming
We
through.
haven't done Pirate.
yeah, and you're going to lose the next one.
But we can say you probably won for the Cowboy. You probably won for Samurai. But I think for Pirate, I've got a really good pick.
Nah, you're not going to beat me.
I've got a really good
You're not going to win.
Yeah, I think I've got a really good pick. So, you think about Pirate, and of course, when you talk about pirates, you think about Johnny Depp. Because Johnny Depp...
Pirates of the Caribbean, the quintessential
Because
pirate.
Johnny Depp is a pirate. So he was, So basically, if you know Johnny Depp's collection, I didn't go boring, I didn't take the Submariner that he has, but there is one, if I can find the page. No, this is you. This is me. This is pirate. So you're on a boat, right? On all these pirate times, right? And basically, either you're really good at navigating, okay? So basically, what do you need really when you're navigating as a pirate? What do they used to use, right? So they had potentially compasses or
A sextant.
a sextant. So one of Johnny Depp's watch actually.
It's a Grand Seiko.
It's a Grand
No,
Seiko.
it's a Grand Seiko.
Grand
So
Seiko.
this is my pick for
The Grand
pirate.
Seiko is the answer to absolutely everything.
Twice now.
Just go
No,
for the
I'll
material
pick
and
the
stuff.
wrong one.
Real versatile.
Pirate. Okay, there we go. So, and one of the Johnny Depp's collection is the Juvenia Sun and Dial
Very cool.
sextant watch. So basically, how you can use this, I've got no bloody idea because it's just I have no clue. But Johnny Depp has it. He's a pirate. We all know it. We've covered that. Now you've basically got a complication, which is may or may not be usable anyway, when you're going around in your boat all around the world, and then you can basically use it for navigation. And I think it's a good alternative. If you have one drop of water on it, it will break down in 1,600 pieces, which is not very useful for a pirate. But I think this is a good pick.
That's a very interesting, very cool
It's
watch.
got many points in that part, and I think it's nice. I think it's really good.
I like
and
the
that's,
originality.
and this is really as well something that I would like because I'm into uniqueness and random vintage watches, and this is
Yeah.
completely out of the blue. No one normally would have seen.
I think
kind
this
of
is a unique take on a watch made for a pirate that spends 99% of their time on water, one that isn't waterproof or water resistant.
doesn't matter.
But
But he's drunk in the captain's cabin.
But
so
he's
it's
drunk,
all right.
so it's
Exactly.
okay.
So what have you brought to the table?
Shall I go next?
Yeah.
Okay, so I brought something that actually is like the piece that Elliot just showed. However, it does function. And I thought, right, if the last watch was $20,000, right, let's maybe bring it back a couple of zeros. So,
Let's talk about affordable watches.
oh, this one is.
Oh, there we go.
And this one is
Oh, there we are.
Fair enough. There you go.
a Timex,
Not
which
your
I
Hamilton.
have, again, forgot the name of because I don't reference numbers and names.
High
I don't
tide,
care.
isn't it?
This is called the Exploration North
Exploration.
Tide Temp Compass. So let's cover the basics. 100 meter water resistance, 225 pounds if you buy it new online. And this is what's really cool about this watch. So yesterday I was looking at watches and I just wanted to go through Timex to see what they're doing. And this one was one that came out recently. Now, I don't understand how this works, but it does. This watch, if you take it off your wrist and you put it on the table and you have to turn it twice, it will find the magnetic north, which you'll probably be better to say, but there's true north and magnetic north.
Correct.
However, the bezel itself helps to realign that depending on where you are. So that has been thought out. It can take the temperature. So if you click one of the two buttons that are here, you're actually able to get not only the temperature outside, but also in the water if you needed to. So if you were a pirate and you needed to understand, right, am I in the Atlantic, am I in the Pacific, you could put it down.
Apparently,
you
you
could
know
get
how
that.
cold the water is.
You also, well, maybe if you're getting, a beer or whatever.
Is the
drink
water
they
cool
had.
enough to?
Yeah,
cool
is the
my,
water is the water cool enough for me to drink?
my-
And also, this does tides. So this will be able to tell you what kind of tides you're facing. Now, if you're a pirate, is there anything better than knowing where you're going and how are the water conditions?
Particularly, you need to hide on the inland creeks. I think that's really good. Hats off to Timex. They do a fabulous range of really affordable entry-level watches. You can have some really fun with it. Their Pan Am watch was truly
that
stunning.
was really cool.
Truly stunning and a really, really cool-looking watch. The Snoopy, which I got for you, the Timex Snoopy, is an absolute classic with arm going around. So, hats off to Timex. They do some really good stuff.
Yeah, they do some really good stuff.
But-
Okay, so
But
let's see if he's bought.
Here's the
another
winning.
one.
Here's the winning one again.
You buy another
So
one.
I bought a pirate boat.
It's and this is great. This is actually from Canada, a guy called Jason Lim, a little independent watchmaker. And if you're thinking anything about pirates, it's got to be bronze. Bronze is that quintessential.
We know this one.
Quintessential
You buy
material.
2 watches for
all-
this episode.
for pirates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the Seaforth Halias Green with that wonderful bronze. I love that stamp pack effect. It's really, really stunning. I love love that wonderful sapphire crystal.
Pretty cool.
So back to that wonderful bronze, which is the absolute quintessential material for any pirate. The Halias Seaforth Green, Jason Lim in Canada, with a lovely Solita automatic Swiss movement. I just love the sapphire crystal. I love that wonderful green softness in the back. I love the really thin rubber strap. It's really very, very, very comfortable to wear. And that wonderful embossment on the back. Just a superb watch. And the modern day pirate will certainly be wearing the Halias Green.
Like you would. Basically, perfect ambassador for
Yeah,
all
perfect
watches you
ambassador.
own.
I think you're trying to become an ambassador for all the watches you're presenting.
You want them to give you free watches.
Jason Lee,
I
Jason
I
Lim,
will- I
we
will-
are soulmates. I
give-
love your watches. Keep making them, and I'll keep collecting.
And
them.
give me some for free.
And I will give it to you. I think this watch is a solid second.
Seaforth Green. Ooh, me hearties. Now, if I was going to choose actually a watch for a pirate, I would actually go for Fears of Bristol, because that wonderful accent that you hear, that pirates are so renowned for. Ooh, me hearties, shiver me timbers, take her up onto the sky. Actually derived from a Bristol accent, and Bristol in the UK. Fear's one of the wonderful English watchmakers in Bristol, and I would probably have chosen a Bristol watch to celebrate the wonderful birth of
picture of
pirates and their accents.
Now, on that note, I think that I won.
Well, you let us know. Tell us in the comments who you think is the absolute hero. Please like, please subscribe. Keep watching these guys. They know so much. There'll be loads more episodes. If there's things and watches you want to look at, if there are questions that you have, anything you need to know, these guys are geniuses. They know everything there is to know about horology. See you next time.
I'll see you guys next time.